What's up, everyone? It's NFL Week 4, and this is your FanDuel NFL Week 4 first look lineup. We're going to take a look at FanDuel. We're going to look at the salaries. We're going to look at the pricing. We're going to take a look at some of the matchups, and we're going to come up with some of our favorite plays, early week plays for FanDuel NFL Week 4. Before we jump into that, I just want to mention, first, congrats to Mazkey for taking second. Here it is on screen in the FanDuel big contest, the Sunday NFL Rush Top 50% paid contest. I begged you guys to enter this contest last week. Here's me. By the way, I came in 12th in this one, had a nice little finish, made a little bit of money myself, ended up making about $1,400. So a nice little $950 profit in this amazing contest that FanDuel is doing. They have another one this week, guys, and I'm going to show you why you should be entering this contest. I don't get paid from this. I don't have a sponsorship with FanDuel. But if they're going to put out a contest, so this is the top 50% get paid, that in itself is nothing special. But take a look at this. When they say they are adding money to the prize pool, there are 300,000 entrants in this contest. I've already locked it in, by the way. I wouldn't even tell you about this until I reserve my spots because it's ridiculous. There are 150 positions available in this or there are 300,000 entries and $1 million in prizes. Now, 300,000 times 3 is 900,000, meaning FanDuel has gone into their pocket and added $100,000 to this prize pool. Not to mention, they didn't take the $150,000 VIG that they normally take. So this contest has $250,000 more dollars in it than a comparable contest on DraftKings this and every week. If you play DFS and you're not maxing this contest, you're doing DFS wrong. Stop. Just don't do it anymore. If you're an MMEer, last week they had a quarter game version of this as well, which it does look like they got rid of the quarter game, but I had to mention it because people, didn't do it. And we see here, actually, last week, Maskey listened to me and he put 1, 2, I got 4 or 5 lineups in the top one. He put 4 or 5 lineups in the top 100 from what I saw. There should be another one right there, and there's another one right there. And Maskey crushing it. I got a couple here in the top 100 as well. So, or just outside of top 100, I got a second one. FanDuel, very winnable format. There we go. Very winnable format. And this format is super profitable. When they're giving you free money and you're choosing not to take it, you're making a terrible, terrible mistake. So with that getting out of the way, it's NFL Week 4, and let's give our first look to FanDuel here. Enter new lineup. Let's get that loaded up on the screen. And before we jump in to the salaries and everything, I already did this on my DraftKings first look video, so I'm not going to get too crazy with it, but I just want to mention a couple of standout spots here. There's certainly some spots where we should really be focusing on defense. This is the DFS Army Domination Station Optimizer. These are the game tiles where you get totals and then individual team totals to see which teams project well. And a couple of games just really stand out. Of course, Washington at Arizona. That's popping. 50.5 point total, close game. Love what Washington did this past week. Love the poise. Bengals, 26.25 team total. And the game total here, 48 points. I really like this Bengals at the Panthers matchup. And then finally, we have, look at this. Bills at Ravens included, of course, on Sunday Night Football, included in this slate. Ravens really projecting well. And this is one of those spots where, we can get on either quarterback. They're going to be killer. So, both of those guys are going to be really interesting. And finally, we've got just Houston at the Jaguars. And I just am more interested in the Houston side, but Jaguars coming off a tough loss and Houston defense is really bad. So another game that we could pay attention to this week. I'm going to do a quick sort by fantasy points per dollar. This is early week value just to see who's popping. Of course, Breece Hall. Yeah. Chuba, fine. Wide receiver. Deontay Johnson. We're going to load up on him. Mari Cooper still cheap. Chris Godwin probably still underpriced at that level. And definitely Nico Collins, 7,700. Got to pay attention to him. And the tight ends looks like Hunter. I don't like Hunter Henry. So we'll have to figure out what we're doing at tight end this week. Quarterback. Yeah, Deshaun Watson. Not the worst. Look at Jaden Daniels priced up. But Caleb Williams priced down. So we have some interesting spots here. Where's my boy Andy Dalton? Yeah, okay. Baker Mayfield priced low. So we do have some bargains to attack here on FanDuel NFL Week 4. Before I get into that, I want to mention that we have a special going over at DFS Army. If you are not signed up at DFS Army, or if you are like an NFL only, we want you to try out everything that DFS Army has to offer. So we've created a special for this week. Get half off of VIP using promo code VIP50. It's normally $89.99. You're going to get it for $44.99 for a month. All sports, all access. NBA right around the corner. NHL right around the corner. Golf, NASCAR, esports, soccer, college football. We have it all. So make sure to check it out. Yeah, not many people have a college football optimizer. We do. We have a team that updates it. It's really, really great stuff if you're in a state that allows you to play CFB on the domination station. So make sure to check that out. Promo code VIP50, dfsarmy.com, gets you 50% off a VIP subscription, all access, everything we do on FanDuel. All right. Oh, no, not FanDuel, on DFS Army, including FanDuel. All right, let's jump into it. NFL Week 4. And we're going to start with the quarterback position and kind of go through these guys. We're going to talk through a little bit of our thoughts here. So Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson in that marquee matchup of the week, both are going to be good, right? You can't sleep on Josh Allen. He's such a beast. Lamar Jackson at home in a game where he needs to score. Lamar Jackson, I talk about this all the time. You can predict the good games from Lamar. They have to be competitive. If they're up against Denver or some crappy team that can't score, they're generally not going to press the issue. But if they're up against a team and it's a back and forth affair and they need Lamar, he's going to get it done. So you got to like Josh Allen. You got to like Lamar here. Allen coming off a monster game against the sort of terrible Jacksonville defense. Let's just keep in mind that Jacksonville has not been very good. Kyler Murray priced up a little too high for me. He does get the nut matchup against Washington, so that's great. But 8,700 is a little spendy for me for Kyler Murray. It's not bad. It's just he's priced up a little bit. He does less with his running than people give credit for. I think this is the kind of game where, for example, James Conner might come back and get a couple of these touchdowns. So I used him in DraftKings, but I'm not going to be super excited about him for the same price as Allen and Lamar here on FanDuel. Jalen Hurts on the road at Tampa. I don't mind it, but, I'm a little shell-shocked after last week. I think unless Jalen Hurts gets his weapons back, I think, A.J. Brown might be back this week, maybe, but definitely I don't think Devontae Smith would be back, but it's early in the week. Who knows? But if he does not get his weapons back, I'm probably going to go a different way at quarterback. I think he's a little too risky, especially with no premier wide receiver healthy, or even with A.J. Brown on a bad hammy. Doesn't really excite me too much either. Mahomes, no. Jaden Daniels. So Jaden Daniels, poise, looking amazing out there. We're going to get ups and downs with him. It's a great matchup for Daniels, though. I have no problem playing him here for 8,200. We're going to look for lower prices, but I think Jaden Daniels is somebody that we can start to get on and be a little more comfortable with. He's just looking better and better every single week. I'm getting CJ Stroud vibes with Jaden. A lot of the rookies are coming around. Caleb Williams looked a little better last week as well. So let's see if that trend continues. Joe Burrow, big game last week. Cincinnati still struggling. They need to win bad. So they're coming in hot here. I don't mind it. I don't love it at 8K, but I don't mind it. CJ Stroud, also a really good spot here. Get right spot for CJ. I definitely don't mind this. 7,800. Jacksonville defense, terrible. We saw it last week with the Bills just destroying them. Houston at home here. I think they're going to style on Jacksonville. Jacksonville might be able to even score in this one. So we might get a little bit of back and forth goodness going on here. So I like Stroud. I don't mind plugging him in as a starting point to a lineup. Let's just roll through the rest and see if anybody else pops. Not a big Derek Carr guy. Just don't want to get on board with that, really. I do like the Baker Mayfield price. I do like that at 7,400. I will definitely be doing some Mayfield stacks this week. There's no question. At this price point, 7,400 against the Eagles, that's the kind of game where Baker can shine. Eagles secondary is in shambles a little bit. So I think both Evans and Godwin would be good partners for him. So that's very much in play. Darnold's fine. I think he might have been the nuts quarterback, or one of the nuts. Dalton was the nuts. But Sam Darnold was up there and also really good play. And he's cheap and he's priced right. This is where we want to find him. 7, 14, 21. We need 21. So decent quarterbacks in a good spot that are pocket passers, they can get you 21, right? He's not likely to get you the 31. For Lamar and Josh Allen, we need 30s, 36, 35, 34. That's a big ask. So on FanDuel, it does pay to find a cheaper quarterback to helm the team. Caleb Williams at 7,100. I don't mind it. I like the matchup, everything about it. Yeah, sure. He's a rookie and it's going to be volatile. It's probably not going to work. It's GPP only, but in tournaments, yeah, okay. I like who you can stack him with. They're cheap. So, a Caleb, Komet, Roma Dunze stack like starts costing nothing, and we can get crazy at other position groups if we do that. So that's a good way to attack FanDuel and win some tournaments, right? We don't want to only go with these most expensive type guys that all need a 30 or a 33. We can pay all the way down in this group here. Even Dalton, even Deshaun Watson. That's right. I said it. Even Deshaun Watson at 6,900. That is very playable. Andy Dalton, sure, why not? But Watson, even better against Las Vegas. They're not a great defense. They're not a scary defense. How about moving down? No, I'm not touching T-Law, but man, it should be a good start for Trevor Lawrence. I just don't trust him at all. But Justin Fields could be usable at 6,800. At the Colts not very good. Turnovers. Fields can run one in. He could throw for a touchdown. Now the Steelers do want to lean on the run heavily, and they want to lean on their running back to get those runs. But 6,800 is just not a high hurdle. That's a 30-point hurdle for a 20-point hurdle for a quarterback, and he could totally get there. So I don't mind that. Anybody else? Probably not, right? So as far as our first look, I'm going to plug in CJ Stroud. But keeping in mind at 7, 8, 16, 24, 24 points, I like the spot. I think it's a get right spot, but I don't mind, like I said, going down to Mayfield or even Caleb or Dalton or somebody like that if we need to save some salary. And of course, Jaden Daniels right here at 8,200 actually looks pretty sexy as well. You know what? Coming off that big win against that defense, either one of these, we'll go back and forth. All right. Let's slide over to the running back position and take a look at some of the available running backs. And just notice the prices. At this point, Saquon Barkley elevated to 9,700. What? Are you kidding me, right? That is crazy. But it makes sense. He's been smashing, averaging almost 30 fantasy points per game. So, okay. I mean, I can't afford it. That's not where we're going. But wow, right? Jordan Mason, second most expensive running back. 8,800, even after the dud last week. FanDuel's like, no. FanDuel knows. We're going to play Mason on DraftKings next week, and we'll save FanDuel for cheaper names. But oh my goodness, right? It's crazy that Mason is all the way up here. Kamara, another one. I'm not paying 8,600 for Kamara. Derrick Henry coming off the big game. This is not the type of game where Henry is going to shine, so I'm getting off of that as well. Jonathan Taylor did have a smash game couple weeks ago. Bijan not getting it done so far either, but it can at any moment. 8,300, a little pricey. Jonathan Taylor coming off a monster last week. This spot does not stand out though. Colts probably underdogs. Steelers slow game, good defense. So I'm probably staying away from that. Kyren Williams. Kyren Williams is also, he's in a good spot. Why not? Against Chicago? Sure. They don't have any real pass catching weapons, so they had to really lean heavy on Kyren last week in the game against San Francisco. They'll probably do the same here against Chicago. Chicago better versus the pass defensively than the rush this season, so why not? But the first guy we're going to plug in is Breece Hall. 8K. Now, it's expensive. I get it. But I love Jets defense in this spot. I love Breece Hall in this spot. The only thing I'm really concerned about is, vultures from Braylon Allen. But if those vultures aren't happening and Hall gets that, I could easily see Breece Hall getting 2 touchdowns in this game and kind of getting his first real, what I'd call smash game of the season. And, 24, 30 fantasy points is not out of the realm of stuff that could happen if things go a certain way. James Cook is fine. Aaron Jones is a nice little play as well in this spot. I don't mind that against Green Bay. James Conner, though, really good play. Coming off of, really, he's going to be unowned. Coming off a terrible game, or he'll be low owned, coming off a terrible game. and I think he could bounce back in this spot. So I don't mind Connor. Brian Robinson, it looks like Eckler will be out, so Robinson will get all the touches. I don't mind that one bit. I really like it at 7,300. Very playable at 7,300. No problems there. Actually, we could plug him in. Travis Etienne also has not been a sexy player. I like favored running backs. This guy's not favored either. That's a negative. But Etienne is he's a workhorse running back for 7,200. This guy was 8K. I wonder do they show the pricing? No, FanDuel doesn't do that. I like to show, when the pricing is moving down, which is what's happening with him. Josh Jacobs, I'm not sure what happened with Jacobs last week. He lost some of those touches that he'd been seeing prior to that. He got 32 touches the week before. Maybe they just wanted to give him a little break. I don't know. But Amari, the backup running back, came in quite a bit last week, and that was concerning. So now I don't trust Jacobs, and Minnesota defense is not to be trifled with. KC, I don't think this is a good spot for J.K. Dobbins. Could get it done in a bad spot, but it's not a good spot. Zach Moss, meh, okay. Ramondre, hell no. Najee, no. Chuba Hubbard, 6,500. Playable. That's right. Chuba Hubbard, playable here, 6,500. Decent price. Panthers are a much more competent team, but most importantly, Chuba's just getting a ton of work. When the Panthers are playing a competent offense and they could give him the ball, 21 carries, 115 yards, 5 for 5. He's not a great player, but he's good enough to get it done when he's given that volume. And look how the mighty hath fallen. Rachaad White all the way down here at 6,200. That's crazy. So cheap. Another one, Cam Akers, 6,100. If it turns out that Cam Akers is getting another start, I think we can actually go back to this play. A lot of people kind of got burned last week by it, and that will wind up being a net positive for us. Finally, I think Carson Steele is playable on FanDuel. He's a touchdown scoring type of player. So right now, the way it looked last week, take a look, he got 17. And I think it's another domination for KC, where they should lean heavier on the run than they normally do. They might not, but they should. But last week, 17 carries, 2 targets, 1 reception. And that's Isaiah Pacheco volume right there. That's like Isaiah Pacheco for 5,800. Samaje Perine got a couple of looks, but not many. He got 4 targets and a couple of runs, but he got the Jerick McKinnon work. So I'll take the Pacheco for 5,800 in that. I think that's very much playable. Like, I wasn't sure week 1, didn't want to play them. Now I'm kind of cool with it. Zamir White, no. Justice Hill, maybe. So I don't think we need to dumpster dive this low this week, but we've got our 2, and we'll see who, this is FanDuel. So we will be putting a running back in the flex, but we'll pick that one later on when we see how much salary we have left over. All right, guys, let's move on to the defenses. We're going to go defense first, and then we'll go wide receiver and tight end. And just let me know if you're enjoying this video and you like this FanDuel content. Let us know. Hit that like button, and also give me your starting QB for NFL week 4. Who are you starting on FanDuel? Which way are you going? Do you like to pay up? You prefer the Jaden Daniels pick? Do you want to go down to CJ Stroud, or would you rather see like a little more GPP type approach where we go down with like a Caleb or Fields or Dalton? Get a little cheaper at quarterback and create a low cost stack, and then pay up for some of the more elite running backs. So how are you doing it this week? Let us know in the comments section, and let's see if you can hit that nuts quarterback for NFL week 1. All right. Moving on to the wide receiver position. Actually, no, what did I say? Defense. Yeah, we're moving on to defenses, and we're going to start at the top. Just talk a little bit about some of these defenses and pick 1 or 2 that we like. Ideally, lower cost. So at the very top, San Francisco at home against New England. It is a smash spot, of course. Cleveland Browns against the Raiders, okay. But Jets at home against Denver, another smash spot, 4,800, fine by me. Bengals, Bengals at Carolina, whatever. Chiefs at the Chargers, who are going to be without Herbert most likely, but probably starting an acceptable backup in Taylor Heineke. So, okay, whatever. Steelers, though, at the Colts. Anthony Richardson's just not looking very good to start the season. So Steelers have a nasty defense. I could see them doing some damage here at 4,500. Vikings at the Packers, very playable, especially if Jordan Love doesn't come back. I think Jordan Love will come back, but if he doesn't, oh my goodness, right? Bears, maybe. Rams at the Bears, yes, right? We still want to target Chicago, Caleb Williams, and that whole scene, young, vulnerable quarterbacks. So I'm going to switch this up and pop in. I'm going for the cheapest viable. So we're just going to keep switching up if we feel that one is viable here. Texans, yeah, I think you can play them at Jacksonville. Jacksonville's terrible. Arizona, probably playable at 4K, but not enough savings to make it worth my while to swap here. Bills at Baltimore, no. Baltimore at Bills, no. Vegas, Cleveland at Vegas. Vegas playable. Yeah, the Raiders. Raiders for 3,700. Let's add it in. Deshaun Watson's been terrible. Commanders at Arizona. Jets, no. Falcons, no. Chargers, no. Patriots, no. Carolina. So cheapest viable, I'm going to call it the Raiders. At home, taking on the Browns team that is just, they're a good defense, but so far I have not been wildly impressed by Deshaun Watson. So, I think that's playable. I don't mind going up to the 4K level, or of course, all the way up to 5K level if we want to spend up for San Francisco. All right, let's jump over to wide receiver. Kind of get a feel for this group and see how that feels. So at the very top, we've got Justin Jefferson. Of course, he's a stud. Perfectly acceptable matchup. Notice that Jamar Chase is significantly cheaper than Jefferson on DraftKings, but same price on FanDuel. So what that tells us is we need to play him on DraftKings, where you're getting a massive discount compared to Justin Jefferson. It's the same play. And I really do love him this week, but probably more of a FanDuel or more of a DraftKings play than a FanDuel play. Rashee Rice is great. AJ Brown, will he be back? I don't know. Maybe. Probably not going to play a guy coming off a hammy injury. Marvin Harris Jr., great in stacks with Kyler. I don't mind him in a lineup like this, but at that price, I think we can do better. We can get a little more security. Mike Evans is fine at 8K. Hasn't done much. I probably like Godwin more than Evans, but this is a game. I actually have a feeling the pendulum will shift back to Evans a little bit between Godwin and Evans. So 8K though, a little spendy. Garrett Wilson, not a great spot for him. I do like Nico Collins quite a bit in this matchup. Jacksonville, not very good. I also don't mind going right back to Brandon Ayuk here. So I don't want to make it sound like I like everybody, but Ayuk is fine. It was Juwan Jennings who got all the touchdowns last week. I just don't think that will continue. Same time, I don't necessarily think New England's going to force San Francisco to throw a ton. So we'll keep that in mind. Higgins, meh. Diggs, okay. Devontae Adams, here we go. Price coming down almost. Now it's affordable. And look at Juwan Jennings, almost 7. Like, DraftKings is so aggressive, or FanDuel very aggressively repricing these guys. Interesting. But we're looking for touchdown scores. I've got Jaden Daniels in here. We can just go with Terry McLaurin. Pair him up, a nice little pairing. I'm fine with it. I do like a lot of the other wide receivers in this price range, though. So I don't want to just ignore the fact that, like, Devontae Adams is playable there. Fine, whatever. I think Zay Flowers is certainly playable against Buffalo. They're going to have to throw a lot. And Drake London is a good spot against New Orleans. Why not? Jalen Naylor, 6,300. That is surprising. Jaden Reed, up 6,300. A little interesting. But the next name I want to plug into my lineup here is Deontay Johnson. Deontay no longer has to compete with Adam Thielen and is coming off a 14-target effort. Now, I don't think he'll get 14 targets every week, but I don't need 14 targets. I'm good with 10. For 6,200, you give me 10 targets. Volume is how scores are produced in DFS, and that's a ton of volume. So why not play a little Deontay? Let's see. We got a flex, a wide receiver, and a tight end spot left. Just scroll down. There's so many good wide receivers in this cheaper price range. We really have to kind of cover them a little bit. Rashid Shaheed is always an interesting upside play. George Pickens, I probably like him more with Fields than as a standalone, but with Fields, I love it. K-Shaq, sure, looks like the top wide receiver for the Bills, and they're going to need him. So I don't mind plug in a little K-Shaq right there as well. Touchdown scorer. Quentin Johnston. I don't know who the quarterback is, so I'm not interested there. Tank Dell at some point might start popping. Not a fan of Pittman, not a fan of Coleman. Addison will probably have some big games at some point as well. Let's see if there's anybody down here. I think Davis and Darnell Mooney are at least acceptable. Christian Kirk, somewhat acceptable. Christian Watson, very interesting with the return. If Love comes back, I'm very interested in him. 50 touchdown score. FanDuel favors touchdown scorers. There's Demarcus Robinson, D-Rob. Okay, not terrible. Matt Collins, Curtis Samuel. No. Michael Wilson with, I don't mind Michael Wilson in a stack with Kyler Murray as well. Okay. Michael Wilson had a big game last week. People don't know. 9 targets, 8 receptions. Okay. Will he keep doing that? Don't know. Yeah, that's about it for the wide receiver position as far as names that we have to account for. But quite a few options in the 6s and 7s that we'll get back to as we see this lineup comes together. All right, let's jump over to the tight end spot, and then we will circle back to the final wide receiver spot and make any adjustments that we might want to make. So Dallas Goedert has the big week last week. FanDuel's like, yeah, price him up. Come on, guys. Take it easy. Relax. It's too much. He's not TE1. No. Not doing that. Travis Kelce. At this point, we have to kind of give up on Kelce for now. For the time being. Like we have to accept like something's off. Something's off about Travis Kelce. One too many Pfizer shots in his arm, and he's lost his heart. No testosterone. Turns out those shots suck the testosterone out of your body, apparently. George Kittle, hamstring. That's no good. Trey McBride, concussion. Probably won't be back. Brock Bowers, yeah, okay. Been fine. Dalton Kincaid finally got the kind of touchdown, had a decent game. Still volume, not crazy good. So risky to pay up for him, but at $6K, it's kind of acceptable. I like this price for Cole Kmet, and I'm going to plug him in at 5,300 as my quarterback of choice. Gesicki can be used as well. Quarterback is such a crapshoot right now. I think we're a lot better off just paying down for them and hoping that we kind of accidentally find one that does okay that week rather than trying to always pay up and getting burned by these guys. 7K Goddard kills you if he doesn't put up, 15 to 20 fantasy points in that game. And he could do it, but I don't want to count on it. All right. Flex spot. If we just keep this the way it is, we could just plug in, kind of a stud running back, Mason, Kamara, both fine. Now, I don't want to pay all the way up for Mason. I'd rather almost get to Jamar Chase here, but it gives you an idea of what we can do with a lineup like this. Let's see. We started with Jaden Daniels, Arizona, blah, 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 Washington, Arizona. So I'm going to pull Brian Robinson Jr. out as he is tied to that quarterback. Let's go with a less correlated or sort of a more interesting running back. I'm going to plug in James Conner here because he is the comeback to Jaden Daniels in this game. That gives us 8,600 to spend in the flex. And again, we can make some adjustments and do some things like that. But I think Kamara is a comfortable play. Well, I don't mind Rashee Rice, Marvin Harrison Jr., if we really want to build around that one game. So quite a few options in this range that we could do for the final spot. Kyron Williams is there. But let's plug in. Really wouldn't mind getting to Chase, but we're not going to get there without making some serious adjustments. And I wouldn't mind moving off of this wide receiver either because he's a sketchy play. He's fine, but he's a little sketchy. So you know what I'm going to do? Let's scroll down. Let's get a different running back in here that we don't mind paying down for and that we feel kind of decent about. Let's see here. How about if we went with Chuba? And now I can upgrade my wide receiver spot. Get Evans, Wilson, Nico Collins. There we go. Get a little Nico Collins action going. And I kind of like this. There's a lot of different ways to build this lineup, but we got Breece Hall, James Conner, Chuba Hubbard, all kind of value running backs, I would say. Jaden Daniels stacked with Terry McLaurin. Fine. That's enough of a stack right there. We have some other options that we could do with this lineup, but McLaurin heating up a little bit. Deontay Johnson, target machine. Nico Collins, the man in a great matchup. Cole Kmet, coming off of almost 100 yards. Just a great game. 10 receptions, 97 yards, and a touchdown. So if he gets that 100 yards, that's going to be rare. But that's going to do it, guys, for the FanDuel NFL Week 4 first look. This is just a first look. It's early in the week. Lots of news, lots of info will come out. But I kind of like this approach for NFL Week 4. You're either going to go expensive with those quarterbacks and save a little somewhere else, or there's a whole slew of really inexpensive tournament-style quarterback wide receiver stacks that we can get into. And I'm most excited for this amazing NFL $1 million Sunday Rush, where FanDuel has literally added 100 plus didn't vig another 150. So you're getting 250,000 extra dollars in this contest. Unbelievable. It's overlay. You should never, ever skip these if you play DFS at all. And if you're a DFS player, $3 entry, put as many as you can in this contest. You're going to have the best chance and the best ROI and the best EV of any site. If you've enjoyed this video, let me know. Hit me up in the comment section below. Who is your QB wide receiver stack? Who's your starting stack for week 1? Give me a pair of running backs that you love. If you hit the nuts with any of them, I'll call you out next week and say, hey, you hit it. So we'll put that comment on the screen next week and let people know that you hit it. Good luck this week, everybody. I'll see you next.